Hello. Moneel, how are you doing?
Greetings. Greetings, Mike. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Cool. Yeah.
I like your
I'm
brick
excited.
wall. It's very, yeah, I like it. It's better than my box files in the back. I need to get myself a brick wall.
Yeah. It's built from a blue screen. From a green screen. Sorry, not blue. It's a green screen. Okay.
Oh, we've gone back to the squares. I wanted the circles.
Yeah.
Man.
We will go to the circles very soon. So we're always improvising. Okay, but today on Bold and Bold, we have a special guest again. Her name is Nicole Angai-Galindo. So I hope I spelled it right. Aka Nic, an American from New York City, originally from Trinidad in the beautiful Caribbean. So I actually could also put some palm trees behind me. Nic brings a wealth of experience from a 25-year-old career, spanning project management, operations, and the construction industry. But this is not the reason why we wanted to talk to her, because as a part-time writer, Nicole hit the #1 spot as a best-selling author within 6 weeks of publishing her first anthology, showcasing not only her writing skills, but also her talent in meme design. And that is also what we need here in the show. And she's the brain behind the gifted Bipolar writer. So that's why we want to have her. And now say hello to Nic.
Round of applause.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Moneel. Wow, that was quite an introduction.
Yeah, that's what I had to stalk you a little bit because just for the audience, it was very spontaneous. So I literally sent a WhatsApp not even an hour ago to Nic and said, "Hey, would you like to join our podcast?"
Thank you so much. I think that a lot of what's happening right now in my journey is spontaneity, honestly. So I feel like I don't need to introduce myself. You did such a great job of that.
Thank you.
And you're right. Just showing up and having an incredible opportunity fall into my lap in March is what started this all. So at the end of last year, I fell in work, unfortunately, and I broke my left patella in 4 places. And now I say I needed to lose one ability to find another. And that's exactly what I did. I've always been passionate about writing, but life happens, bills, jobs, family. I found myself now no longer an operations manager, but just struggling to figure out how to get from the bed to the kitchen to get myself a sandwich on one leg and a walker. I would put everything in one of those carry bags that you get in the grocery store on my shoulder. I walk around the house with it. It worked. So I joined a community in January called the Hounds of Business. And from there, I got the opportunity to attend, or rather guest, on a live show like this one. Now this is probably my 20th, who knows?
Good.
And I said yes to a second one on Valentine's Day. And I was really nervous, as we all are when we start. And very uncomfortable because I couldn't bend my knee. I got a chance to meet a publisher backstage who said, "Would you like to write in this anthology with us? It's called Now What? It's about overcoming something so adverse in your life that it just stops you and you don't know now how you're going to protect that sacred space after. Do you go back to your life the way it was? And do you move forward in a different way?" And I said yes. I had a week to hand in the draft. I thought I would lose it. But I sat and I wrote that chapter in 3 hours. And we knew it would go to a bestseller. And it did. So
Within 6 weeks.
Within 6 weeks. The afternoon before the launch, she contacted me and she said, I'm in trouble. The graphic artist pulled out and pulled her chapter from the book. I have no one to create the launch day memes. And I said, look, I am in my second week on a Canva trial. I would love to help. I don't know if I can. But I said yes. And I think I was up till after 2 that morning. I had no idea what a template was. So I had to resize 40 pictures. But I got it done. They went out on launch day. And since then, who knew that I would fall in love with and end up with an eye for graphics as well. I meant to write. And it ended up being a 2-time gift.
Beautiful.
No. Go ahead.
So at the moment, if I saw that correctly, so you had 3 anthologies and now preparing the 4th, right?
Yes, correct. So to just backtrack a little, at the end of March, when that first anthology happened, I decided to start my business, The Gifted Bipolar Writer. I think a lot of people think, wow, gifted writer. And I'm glad that people feel that way. And, it is about your readers and how you connect and the kind of emotion that you evoke in them. The gifted part isn't my writing. It's the bipolarness. And I have embraced that part of it. It's not an appendage. It's in my blood and my bones and my flesh. And being able to tap into that range of emotions as a writer is the gift. It's it's not peaks and valleys, it's spikes and plunges. I said yes to the same publisher, July, to write in a second anthology called My 2 Cents on Self-Love. Well, I should say sometime back in May, because it launched July 7th. That one went to #1 international bestseller. I was, fortunate as well to have the opportunity to trade that chapter for the promotional work. I designed that book cover, as well as I did all the memes for Coming Soon, launch day, best-selling afterwards, again for another 30 or so authors. It just continued to propel my journey. And with it, somewhere along the way, my advocacy for mental illness not being a stigma, because the stigma starts with me. If I view myself as a broken person, I give permission to other people to do the same. The day I stopped viewing myself that way, and the day is the day that the people that did view me that way fell out of my circle. I didn't push them out, they just fell out. I walked the go. Go ahead, go Moneel.
The thing that comes up for me when you talk about that is there is a sense of peace that comes from you. There's like a peaceful energy that says, this is my gift. This is my opportunity. Not just in terms of the bipolar in itself, but in the way that you look at it is then something that you can serve the world, so that if there are people that are listening to this who are struggling with similar or even different things, but a challenge, let's just call it a challenge around, mental health or mental fitness, then there is a way out. And I was talking to someone about something slightly different. I was talking to someone about neurodivergence yesterday. I'm sure you've come across this. There was an interesting study that said for people with ADD, they actually make really good CEOs because they context switch their focus. right? Really, really fast. So it means they can think about that, think about that, think about that, think about that. But the sad thing is society is not cut up to embrace these people, right? You have to go through a school system or education system or whatever you call it, even a cultural upbringing that is getting better from the outside. From what I hear, it's still not there yet. So just a question on that. When you look at your advocacy and everything that you're doing, as someone that deals with bipolarity, when you look around outside of your circle, do you think things are actually getting better? Do you think there is more acceptance?
I do. And I will start by telling you that my employer is ADD. And he walks around the office and he will flat out say, my ADD is bad today. I'm just telling you guys. And again, it's this time in my life, I don't know what's happening. But I found my employer last year on LinkedIn, of all places, last March. And we just connected and became friends. I work in the elevator industry. And who knew a few months later I would be leaving the elevator company I was working with. And he hired me. He didn't even have a position. He created one. And I went in. And I know that acceptance is there because just a couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting at work. We have one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the mornings. It's a team, everybody in the office, 12 of us. And we have a huge, people in the field as well, a lot out there. But it came up about a coworker who had lost someone, a very close friend, due to a drug overdose, and the mental state that he was in. And he's about my age, in his 40s, and the support he might need from the team. And I spoke up and I said something in the meeting that I could not have ended up in a better place. I walked into that office wearing my bipolarness because that's who I am. And I was accepted. And as we went around that room, it was quite an eye-opener. People who may have had an addiction, people who have an illness, even other people with anxiety that are also on medication. The world is becoming more accepting, but it does start with the people who have anything, really, to be more accepting of themselves, to give themselves grace. You might be born with something, or something may have developed. It doesn't mean you don't deserve to live your best life. And why wouldn't you want to give that to someone else? It really doesn't matter if you're giving it to someone with something or something with someone without something. But truthfully, we all have something. It may not be a physical ailment, but it's there nonetheless. It could be something as simple as lack of self-esteem. So I do believe the world is changing. And it's changing because people like us, we show up. We say we're going to do a show like this. We're going to speak about our vulnerability. And, you guys are living proof that the change is happening.
Just another question, just on that. What does it mean for you? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
What does acceptance mean for you? You mentioned that a couple of times, and I asked you the question. So when you look at, let's look at mental health in particular, or mental illness, right? At a societal level, what does acceptance look and feel like for you?
Okay, so outside of my inner circle, right? So my inner circle being my husband, for example, who says, I don't see your freckles or your bipolarness, I just see you, Nikki. In the work environment, which is my circle to some extent, but how close am I really to them, right? What I see is this. They know that I have bipolarness. They know that I have my days that I struggle. There are a couple that will actually look at me and say, You all right? Need a hug? I'll get that hug. And sometimes I'm the one giving the hug. I have people that understand that I need my quiet time when I'm in my head sometimes. I think another very big part of that acceptance is that I go out into the world and I just do me. And I'm a people person. I form friendships easily. I am very adaptable. And with all the firsts that people see when they first meet me, bipolarness is the furthest thing from their mind. You know, when they eventually come to learn that, they're like, you? No way. Well, yes, me. What does bipolar look like? What does anything look like? So, yes, this is the person that has laid in a bed and struggled to get up, who has cried till I have no more tears in me, who's wanted to just die, and who has attempted it. In her 30s, nonetheless. Not at an age where you are young and impressionable and confused, but at an age where you would expect that somebody would know what they're about.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already gotten to show them that I'm so much more than that. And I will tell you, 90% of the people, they accept it. They accept me. And a big part of that is because I've accepted myself. And that really is what I wish to impress upon people. You have to accept yourself if you want to be accepted by society. You cannot hide from yourself. If you do, then you're going to hide from everyone else. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. I love that. And I think it's worth, if people are listening to this and are struggling with something, just listen to that over and over again. Because it's a journey and it's hard, right? Nobody said it was easy. But nothing is easy. And there's a gift in that, because if it was easy, you wouldn't appreciate it. Nobody would appreciate it. So yeah, it did. It made sense. Thank you.
No problem.
I think it's also the whole topic of mental illness, or your advocacy for mental illness is a significant part of your existence, right, of your life. So if I looking now at also like a melting pot like New York City or something where you live, what are some common misconceptions that probably about bipolar disorder or something that you aim to dispel?
You know, there's a melting pot here, and being from Trinidad and Tobago, believe it or not, is a melting pot as well. Granted, I went to school, and I will tell you that 99% of the people at school were Black or Indian. I was one of 2 Chinese girls, and there was 1 white girl. Now, I am not anyhow about taboo about saying colors, because as far as I'm concerned, we're all one color, which is the human race. But for identifying factors, just as familiarity, if you want to put it that way. So I say that, and I was in a situation that was the opposite when you think about my secondary education, right? I was in a country where I was the minority. This is the opposite, which most people perhaps are in a country that they are in the majority. That is changing. This melting pot that we live in right now, it makes it more challenging, yes, to share your message and have people be more accepting of it. Because let's be honest here, we're all conditioned in our culture. Our culture determines a lot about how we view not just mental illness, but illnesses in general. You know, there are certain cultures that would shun people like me and would say you belong in a madhouse. And then there are those cultures that would say, no, she needs help. And with the right help, she'll be fine. Wherever you go, there are going to be people that do not accept. And there are going to be people that would readily accept. Your hope with sharing your voice is that one life at a time, you help people to understand by accepting it's not just a gift to the person, it's a gift to themselves. They have now expanded their way of thinking. If you can accept someone like that, a person, you can easily accept a lot of things around you that are happening that you're not in control of. Those are situational, material, physical. It's a mindset, an adoption of a mindset.
And that mindset culturally driven, right? So you get that mindset and you need to overcome it. You get it from the culture you were raised. I see that sometimes also with my sister. I adore my sister for who she is, also as a person, and what kind of things she does. And she sits in a wheelchair since she's 20 based on a tick bite and Lyme disease. And she's now really an advocate for having for inclusion, barrier-free buildings or anything like that, which is not so common in Europe than in America, because let's say being barrier-free is something that makes it comfortable even for people who are not disabled, right? And so, but to get it in the heads of people, it's really like you said, it's this mindset that needs to change. And I love that she's showing everybody really the middle finger by doing the things that she does. So she climbs without being able to use her legs. She created with necklaces for dogs or animals from those stores. She developed a system which helps her then, like a puppet, to move her legs. They have them connected to her arms, and then she climbs up a wall, for instance. I can't do that. I don't get up there, and I have functioning legs. And I love those kind of things. And every time when she's in the disco, she's dancing like hell. She's actually owning the dance floor in the wheelchair. And then she has people come, I can't believe that you can do that. How good is it to show that? And she said, sorry, I'm living, right? And you have those misconceptions already in your language, especially with people who have any disease, no matter. But let's say also with people who are disabled with something. So you have those misconceptions in language that you say, like in English, you say the person is bound to a wheelchair, which is stupid. It's not, the wheelchair gives you mobility, right? And you would be bound to the floor if you don't have a wheelchair, right? So, but it's already that misconception that you have in the language that actually makes those people feel like people second class, which is kind of a shame. And this is why I really applaud you for saying, okay, it's a mindset thing. It's a total mindset thing.
It is. And
sorry, go ahead, Nic.
How can anyone look down on someone like that? And in fact, what happens is you look down, and then when somebody that is in a wheelchair starts to accomplish all the things that you're saying, then you look up. Why should that have to be the defining moment? Why wouldn't you want to motivate the person that you're looking down at to be all they can be in their situation? She's accomplished great things, and it is a mindset. And a lot of it, and give yourself credit too, has to do with your support system. I take medication. Thank God I found the right combination through my psychiatrist a few years ago. But it's a crutch. It's a crutch like when I needed my walker when I broke my leg. I needed that walker every day. I take my medication every day. People take vitamins for their brains every day. So who are you to tell me what I put in my mouth if it's nourishing my brain. And that's just a crush, though. You put icing on a cake. My icing is standing in the sunshine and absorbing that vitamin D. It's my community. It's my loved ones. It's knowing my triggers, right? It's be able to say to myself every morning, Nic, when your feet hit that ground, you're already won for the day. Too many times you didn't hit the floor with your feet first. Mindset is really, and I've only learned this recently.
There's a couple of things there. There's a couple of things there, right? When we talk about mindset, firstly, there's, and look, I'm not one of these people that will vilify social media. I think actually, used the right way, it is a great tool for connection, right? I mean, you look at LinkedIn, how you and Mike connected, right? And that has enabled us to have this conversation to little by little change the world, right? So I think, the problem with social media that people need to understand, the problem is not social media, the problem is humanity. The problem has always been humanity, right? The challenge is everybody has a voice now. Now, we have to be custodians, each and every single one of us, of our feeds and the feeds of our loved ones. So in the way that you say, or we take medicines and vitamins to nourish our brains and our bodies, we need to curate our feeds so that we're nourishing our emotional well-being. Whether we're struggling with something or not, because half the time people aren't struggling with shit. They go on social media, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I want this, I want that. I haven't got this, I haven't got that, right? So there's that aspect of it. The other aspect is judgment, right? And they're two inextricably linked, right? We are, whether it's from childhood as a survival mechanism, but, the number one thing that we all do is judge, right? Ourselves, things, each other. And so, mindset has got to involve kind of introspection for all of us, right? I don't discount myself from this, right? And I'm sure neither of you two wonderful people do either. But the minute we start introspecting and really asking why and peeling back the layers of, let's face it, a lot of the bullshit that we either encounter or we program ourselves with or comes from somewhere else, then the power of what we say and the power of what we do, it becomes exponential, right? It gets 10x. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Interesting.
You raise some very good points, because while I live on LinkedIn, and I'll own it all day long, my husband's not a social media fan, even though I told him, oh, you're famous on LinkedIn, because I share about my husband, because he's so much a part of my life. But if you're not grounded in your self-awareness, a lot can sway you. And social media, being that very popular component of the way people connect these days, is certainly one of them. Even with me, when I first started, and we all feel it, I have 5 connections. No one liked my post. Oh my God, I'm so unimportant. And then you hit 5,000 followers. And truthfully, are we egotistical at times? Does it feel good? Of course it does.
Absolutely.
We're human. But we also know in the other part of us that you're not in touch with those 5,000 people. Let's be real here. You're probably not even in touch with 500. What is the impact, connection, and friendship that you really have, and with whom? Right? So the more people I connect with and actually stay a part of their network, they're what's filling my feed. And that's how I see the things that I know I'm going to resonate with. Now, I don't want to only see things that I would resonate with. I do want to see other aspects of the way people think. Coming into myself this year has helped me to be less naive and more being able to objectively look at something someone else is thinking and think whether or not it's something that I feel that I can apply to my life that will help improve, my future, where I'm going. And then I said the word future, and it just made me think of the anthology and how Mike and I met, because I have published in 3 this year, and part of my dream was to end this year as a publisher, taking the next step, if you will. I never saw myself writing. I know I did not see myself being a publisher. A lot of times you don't see yourself doing lots of things. But you show up and you take that opportunity. It almost feels like life is living me right now, and I'm going along for the journey, which I know that isn't probably the truth, because I'm here doing it. But a note to my family: I am your legacy. A lot is coming up right now. We have a meeting this afternoon at 5:30. A welcome for all the authors to meet one another. We're getting questions. What is the theme about? Do I write from the I or the you? I want to understand how you're writing, Nic, so that I gel with you. This is your family. Don't ask me I or you, because I can tell you right now I'm the person whose thoughts jump all over the place. But I also know that my family understands me very well. And when my thoughts jump all over the place, they follow me. So for the most part with writing, people think, yes, there's a structure, the hook, the meat and potatoes, the wraparound at the end. This is your legacy. This is what you would sit with somebody 5 generations from now, if you could, for a few minutes, and say a few things to them. This is the window you're going to leave open for a glimpse into your past. It can't be what I want. My vision for this book, the only vision I have for this book, is that years from now, your chapter becomes so dog-eared within your family. People say, well, what about writing to the reader? What reader? The market that I hope to make millions on Amazon? No.
Beautiful.
The market here is you, the author, and your family. I hope to gift this to family members this year. I hope they would pass it down to their generations. It doesn't matter who I choose to speak to in the book. Something within that chapter will speak to someone else who's going to carry my blood in their veins. That is for sure. And anybody else that chooses to purchase the book, no doubt will find one person in there, one nugget from somebody that would identify with them, and they would say, yes, that's something I would want to leave as well. That's what this anthology is about. I'm sorry if I went off, but I am getting the questions. I'm not a studied writer. I didn't go to college. I have a passion. I like to yap, which you obviously realize. And I want people to not be seen and heard. I want people to be felt. So much of my life has been being pulled and tugged in so many different directions emotionally, not recognizing who I am from one second to the next. I want people to be felt, not just seen and heard. And that's why this, don't make me start crying. That's why this book means what it does to me. And I want it to have its own meaning to each author, because it cannot mean the same thing to you that it means to me.
It's beautiful.
I sincerely hope that just on that, and I love that you're feeling the emotion, but I know for a fact that beyond your family, the family of the world, there will be people for whom you connect with. They may not even know who you are. They may not be expecting you to enter their lives in the way that you do, But just know that there will be people beyond your wildest imagination, not just future generations, but people now who will connect, who will read, who will see, who will feel, and who will rise, right? You'll be holding their hand without holding their hand. And, you know, when you talk about legacy, you know, I've thought a lot about my 2 kids, right? And the only legacy that I will leave them is me and the tools I give them. No, please don't apologize. We are here to feel, right? And that's what, you know, you talked about spontaneity right at the beginning, right? Mike and I met in Estonia with about 6 other beautiful souls. Came back 3 days later, we had a WhatsApp call and thought, let's do a podcast.
And it's exactly for people like you, to be honest. It's exactly, this was the mission. Getting people on that podcast to tell their message, to shine, to inspire others, make the world a better place. And that was the mission. In the first 1-2 episodes, we just got we had a lot of hair when we started, so we just gotta oh no, but not joking aside. Actually, it was really for that. And when Paula, who was also already on the show, connected us now via LinkedIn, because she saw that I was also doing stuff with legacy, where I now dropped my corporate job to actually help people to do their legacy. That topic was so close to my heart that I just thought, this is awesome. And now hearing from you also in your way, your vision, your mission behind, I can only applaud you, because that's exactly what I try to capture. And why it's important to have many people who participate in that book that you want to launch. Because from my understanding, and also now when I interviewed a couple of people now on their legacy and you actually really need coaching to do that. Because usually you're not getting, I can really feel, otherwise just people talk about the nonsense they would also talk on the kitchen table. But that's not what stakes, right? What stakes is if you introspect, if you look at things where you made a failure, where you had a lesson, what you learned out of that, because this is how you can break that trauma circle that parenting actually does. I mean, as a parent, you give your trauma anyway to your children, if you want or not. But you can only overcome that and break that if you deal with those inner demons, if you get that shit out of your system. And that is a lot of work. And I love about your project, actually, that really, if people write, it's easier for them to get it out of their system than talking to someone. So yeah, really cool. I'm really looking forward to that. And thanks for having me on that. I'm really appreciative of it.
Of course, I'm thrilled that Paula introduced us, and what's happening as a result of all of this is there are people that have joined that I've not met before. Most times when people call an anthology, you would find that it's with people they know who want to support, people who have written before, co-authored with them before. And now there are people that are joining this book because somebody else that's writing it is sharing, not just to say to come and write in this book, but what writing in it means to them. And, you know, you speak about a written word. For me, writing is very empowering and freeing. For different people, it's a different expression, whether it's art, whether it's making digital videos as a way to express. Everyone has their way to express. And For those that writing is their way to express, that's why this project is incredible. I was telling my sisters this morning, these are my 3 sisters from LinkedIn. I do have a real life sister as well. I feel so blessed that there are a few people in this book that are going to be published for the first time. This is not just a gift to themselves, they give this holiday and their family. They give me that gift back at the beginning to say I was not an author. And I know what it felt like to be published for the first time. And, I say that everybody should be published at least once in their lifetime. It's me being biased. But there is something about that black on white that when you read your chapter back, and even more, an exercise that we will do on the 18th when we meet one more time, that we're going to pair you guys up. And someone is going to read your chapter to you aloud. You would be surprised at how much comes back to you. That's maybe not how I meant to say it. That didn't sound the way that I hoped it would sound. And that's where it ties into what you're saying. That people could just vomit stuff everywhere, and we all do that. But in 1,500 words, what is that impact you want to leave? What is that one thing that is going to make somebody read it and go, I was just about to stumble, but something you said made me catch myself. And Paul and
so I'm going to share a fear that I didn't know I had. I had an inkling, and then the more I hear you talk, both of you, I think it is a fear. And I have a fear of writing down my experiences for that reason. So I will journal, I will write stuff down, I will, get angry on bits of paper, and then I will burn them so I never look at them again. Because I think there is a pain that I don't want to deal with by confronting it. I've lived this stuff. When I think about this stuff, when I even tell other people about this stuff, when I post on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, it's fine. But I think actually, maybe I thought I was lazy. Maybe I thought I wasn't a writer. I don't think it's that. I think I just have a fear for that reason. Because if I put it in a place where people can read it and share it, then I might have to confront it again. And so
that's bloody powerful, because first off, this happened twice today. In my audio room this morning, I said I stepped out to get my cigarettes, and I will own me all day long, even though I know that smoking is not good for me. And somebody jumped up and said, well, you said it, so I'm going to own it too. And then you did just own something, because this is going to go public. And you faced it, whether or not you realize it. That was the first step. And maybe now you'll hold on to it a little longer before you burn it. I've ripped shit to shreds and thrown it in the air after I've written it. I've written the hateful emails and then just saved it in my drafts, and then went back a week later and deleted it. This isn't about being a writer. There's no right or wrong thing to write here. Sure, we'll edit and we'll correct the punctuation and the spelling errors, and help you maybe to have your message flow a little bit better. But the essence of who you are cannot be lost in this. If it is lost, then the book is null and void. I'm looking that way because my crazy needy chihuahua better be going back to bed and not start howling behind me.
This was
I
also, yeah, we're already ahead of time for the podcast, but I really enjoyed it. So thanks. So if then people, as soon as we, the podcast is probably live in around an hour from now. So if people are seeing that and say, oh, I want to share my story, can they contact you on LinkedIn, and until when?
Absolutely. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can contact Mike. I'm volunteering him because, as far as I'm concerned, you can contact any author that's writing in the book, because they know the message, because they feel the message. It's as simple as that. And yes, there is a cost to writing in the book. Yes, there's a cost to everything. I am working with my girlfriends, and I do want to compensate them for their time. And I've heard people say the cost to write in some books. I knew somebody that was $1,500. I was like, wow. But when you think about it and what you're going to leave behind, what is that dollar amount worth? It's priceless. It's priceless what you're going to leave. So yes, you can contact me that way, or you can contact me by email, which is quite simple. My first name, Nic, Nic, the THE GBW, gifted bipolar writer. So Nic, the GBW at gmail.com. I was stoked when I got the email. Trust me. I was like, nobody else has this. Yay.
I just want to thank you for being authentic, because one of the things I do when I talk about growth coaching, right, is I say to people, it's got to start with authenticity, and authenticity and vulnerability are hand in hand. We don't want to face it as society. We don't want to deal with it. We're afraid to put our voice out there. We're told not to put our voice out there. You must be strong. Suck it up. I mean, what the fuck does that mean, right? It's negative energy, right? So, my call to action is, write, do whatever. If you have knowledge, if you have experience, and you think that it's not going to benefit someone, it will. And it is a disservice to the world for you not to share your message. Whether it's not writing, whether it's video, whether it's whatever it is, just share it, right? Because I bet you there is a soul out there that needs it. So thank you. Thank you, dear.
No, thank you guys for having me. We're all on a journey. Someone has walked mine before, and somebody will walk mine in the future. So we have to share. And most of all, we have to own our stories.
100%. Very well said. Thanks a lot. Thanks. And for all the people who like the channel, please press the subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and you will get a link to share as well.
Subscribe.
Okay. Hey, bye-bye.
Thanks, dear. Bye.
Just